What's going on, friends? Welcome back to the channel. I appreciate you stopping by. A subscriber from Brazil asked me to go over some of the drive modes and functions of the Ninja H2, and I thought I would do that in comparison to my 2015 R1. Even though the H2 is a much more expensive bike, you might be surprised at how simple it really is. Alright, so over here on the right side, we've got our ignition switch, on and off. And then below it is a switch called mode, a little button that says mode on it. That gets you in and out of the settings menu and controls the traction control settings 1 through 9. We'll talk about that later. Turn signal. Your horn. These little up and down arrows let you move between menu options. And that's it. Everything is pretty self-explanatory and in a really good spot. Whereas on the R1, everything is just really compact. You've got this jog dial that lets you get between the menus and also acts as an enter button. You got to push it in. And then on the left side, you've got up and down arrows, mode that gets you between your traction control settings. There's just a lot going on. You get used to it, but honestly, I just leave it on one thing and I never touch it again. Back over here at the H2, your startup screen. Pressing and holding that mode button gets you into the settings menu. And then you've got units and miles per gallon, Fahrenheit, all that good stuff. Brightness has 3 settings. Pretty sure 1 is the brightest and 3 is the least bright. You've got 4 display modes. We'll talk more about that later. Rain mode on and off. Shift lamp. This is Kawasaki engine braking control, or engine brake control. I just have that off. And quick shift, leave that on. Launch control. I don't know much about launch control. I'm gonna have to make another video showing that because that's a feature I haven't used before. Bluetooth on and off, I just leave it off. I never use it. And then back to the beginning, units, and that's really it. Now there are 4 display modes. Type 1 is the most customizable, and then 2, 3, and 4 are all kind of the same except for those little bars that you see on the left side. It's 1 is boost and 1 is brake, or that changes the throttle, and then 4 just takes those away. For background, you've got black and white. Here's what white looks like. I honestly like it with the black background better, and that's what I just leave it on. And then using those little arrow keys on the left side, these guys right here, pressing up goes through your trip, your lean angle. It actually shows you like a lean angle percentage. Your boost starts at 100 and then goes up from there, and then back to your odometer. And then if you press down, you get a few more options. And then going back into the menus, to type 2. As you can see, it looks a lot different, except you've got 2 bars on the left side. The one in red is your boost, and the one on the right is the throttle. And then if you press up on those little arrow keys, I know it's hard to see, but in the top right, you can switch through all the same options you had before, your lean angles, odometer, trip odometer, stuff like that. This is the one I like the most, and I usually leave it here. Although when I do, whenever I fill up, I have to switch back to 1, reset the fuel counter, and then go back here because you can't access the fuel counter from type 2, 3, or 4. It's weird. I wish you could, but you can't. And then like I said before, 3 is the same as 2, except where those little bars are. One is boost and the other one is brake. And then 4 takes both of those bars away. But everything else remains the same. I do like how the display really only tells you what you need to know. There's not a lot going on. Whereas with the R1, you'll see here in a second, it is just jam-packed with information. I just wish that you could access whatever bit of info you wanted from whatever screen you were on. Oh, and the mode and the traction control, if you hit that mode button, you can cycle through traction control levels off through 9. 9 is the most aggressive, 1 is the least aggressive. So that's the other thing that mode does, and it'll change that KTRC number. And that's it. Now over here at the R1, you turn it on right away, you can see there's just a ton of information that is thrown at you. You've got your modes, your power levels, traction control, slide control levels. There's that little bar thing on the right side. And then if you use the little jog dial that you showed you before, you can switch through a bunch of different things. Pressing in that jog dial gets you into the menus. And as you can see, there's a lot of different things that you can look at. The only thing I don't have access to here is the lap time, only because I think that's just reserved for the R1M. If you go to display modes, you've got a street and a track. And then going into settings, you can see you've got an A, B, C, and D mode. A, B, C, and D are not actual modes, but more like rider profiles. So as you can see here, I've got D selected, and my profile set for D is pretty much power all the way up, traction control all the way down, slide control all the way down, quick shift on, lift control off. But this is the profile I like to ride in the most. But then if you look in my profiles A, B, and C, things are a little different. C is my wet weather riding. I've got the traction controls turned all the way up, power turned down just a little bit. A and B are the profiles I'll use whenever I'm going into the canyons. I just got the traction control turned up just a little bit to make me feel a little bit more comfortable. So that's it. Hopefully I did a good job of showing you what it's like to navigate some of the functions and features of the H2 and comparing it to the R1. And like I said, the H2 is really simple compared to the R1, which is more track focused. They want the rider to be able to dial in exactly what they want to feel when they're riding it, whereas the H2 is more like it's either turned off and stopped, or it's on and it's hauling ass. So you don't need a whole lot of customization. And honestly, like, you really don't. Besides the rain mode, I've never even turned the rain mode on, at least on purpose. And I've tried adjusting the traction control. I usually leave it here on 3, only because when you turn it up to 9, which is the most aggressive, anything past like 5, like, you can really feel it kicking in, and I feel like it's kind of intrusive. I don't like it so much, so I keep it at 3. I feel like that's perfect. The couple times that I've turned it off, I've been a little scary, so 3 is perfect for me. But anyways, that's it. Hope you enjoyed this video. I know it's short, but if you like this content, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, all those good things. Follow me on Instagram, check out some of my other videos, and I'll see you next time. Be safe out there.